Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I would like to welcome everybody to the webinar today. Today's webinar is part of a 5-part series specially designed for new users to BNI Connect. Whether you're a brand new member of just a couple of weeks or just a couple of months, or whether you are a veteran member and just wanting to learn something new about technology and jumping into BNI Connect for the first time, that's what this series is for. We try to break down the system into 5 small parts so that you can get a little bit of knowledge about it in shorter bursts than having a big, long training. Today's section is going to be on the online referral process. So what we're going to be talking about is the online slips, or the ability to enter referrals and thank you for closed business and one-to-ones and CEU slips all through BNI Connect. Now there's a number of advantages for doing it this way as opposed to the traditional paper method of just waiting until you get to your chapter meeting and passing a piece of paper to the vice president or to the referral partner. So we're going to take a look at all of those things today. Before we get started, as always, we just have a couple of little housekeeping things to take care of. The first of which is that this is a live webinar. So if you have any questions as we're going through the content today, please do absolutely feel free to ask those questions. I'd be happy to answer them as we're going through the webinar today. If it's something that's completely and totally unrelated, don't worry, I will save plenty of time for you at the end of this webinar. You can ask any question you'd like about BNI Connect, and I will answer them. And I will be happy to stay here until they are all answered. That being said, we are scheduled for about a half hour's worth of content. So that's about how long it takes to go through the online slips. But as I said, I will stay as long as necessary until every single question is answered. A couple of other things about this webinar is that we are recording it. So you will be able to watch it over and over and over again if you choose to, or if you'd like to share it with somebody from your chapter or somebody in your region, you are more than welcome to do that. They will be hosted on our YouTube channel. youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. I'll show you how to get there easily a little bit later in the webinar today. All right, so let's get started with this particular portion. As I said, this is the second part in a 5-part series. Yesterday we went through the how to develop a good profile here in BNI Connect, and again today we're going to learn about the online slips. So this is your home screen. This is what you should see when you first log in to BNI Connect, and there's a bunch of great things right here on the home screen, not the least of which is the My BNI Business, which is this top section up here. Now, the My BNI Business is a really important tool for you as a member, because this really tells you, kind of where you stand with your participation in BNI. It's going to show you how many referrals you've received, how many thank you for closed business you've given, your referrals given, your visitors, your one-to-ones, your CEUs. This is your weekly activity. And regardless of whether you're using the online slips or the paper slips, all of this information should be right there at your fingertips every single time you log in. It will show you the last 12 months of activity, as well as your lifetime in BNI. So myself, I do happen to be a member still of BNI. I joined in 2002 and have been a member ever since. So this is showing both my last 12 month status and my entire life status here in BNI. So I can very quickly look at that. Now, I have been a member since well before BNI Connect came around. And one of the things I can tell you is that it used to be very, very frustrating as a member not knowing all of these statistics. I used to have to wait until the vice president or my director consultants came for a visit and they brought one of these reports with them. It is awesome that I can now look at this any time that I want to. In addition to that, there is a bit of a more detailed report that goes along with this. And that is right here. You can see right where it says My BNI Business. Right next to it, it says My Personal Participation Report. If you'd like to go more in depth about the actual numbers, click on My Personal Participation Report. What this will do is this will give you your last year's worth of information week by week by week by week. So going back 1 year in time here to September 4th, 2014, I can look at each week's data and see exactly when did I pass referrals, when did I receive referrals, when was I thanked for closed business, the CEUs, when did I bring visitors, et cetera, et cetera. What this is really helpful for, by the way, is especially if you are maybe questioning the number of absences you have, or you think that maybe your referrals were recorded incorrectly or something along those lines, you can pinpoint the exact time. So, for example, one thing, I notice here that last week, 2 weeks ago, I was marked as being absent. Well, if this is incorrect, or maybe I need to find out, did my substitute actually not show up that week? If it is incorrect, then I can approach my vice president and say, hey, you know what? I was actually there that week. You had me marked as absent. Can you please go back and correct that? But it's really helpful to be able to tell the VP, hey, that happened to be on August 20th. It also shows you your summary, as well as your number of members sponsored and any training events that you've attended recently. As with most reports in BNI Connect, there is an export and a print option. We do have a question here from Tom Parker. Tom says, I don't see my BNI business. I see my network, chapter, and region. Is that because you're a director and not a member? And yes, that's exactly the reason why. It's because the My BNI business is attached to the PALMS reports and the membership. If you are a director, you will be starting right here on the My Network page as opposed to the My BNI business. Now, Tom, just if you would like to, send me an email. We do have a testing chapter. It's not a real chapter, it's a test chapter up in our Antarctica region that I would be happy to make you a member of, just so that you can see the My Business module. So if you're working with other members or teaching the online slips in your region, you can utilize that functionality with your membership in order to test with them. You will not be able to actually pass live referrals, though. It's just for testing. So let me know if you want to do that. Just shoot me an email, support@bniconnect.com. All right, so going back to this My BNI business, there is one number that's up here on the top section that will appear as a 0 until you start using the online slips. And that is this top number right here. It says revenue received to my business. Revenue received to my business. So traditionally in BNI, the way it works is, you receive a referral from somebody, and then you thank them for generating business. So the number that we've always tracked in BNI is how much money you've given to the group, right? Givers gain. So we're tracking the amount of money we've given to the group. With BNI Connect, we can track privately both sides of that equation for you. So as you're turning in thank you for closed business slips to other people, we'll keep track of how many slips you've turned in and keep a running total of the revenue that you've received to your business. And again, all of us start out as 0 until we start using the online slips. For those of you that are brand new members in BNI that are on the webinar with us today, you guys have the wonderful opportunity to actually start using the slips right away with your membership and tracking all of your activity. Those of us that have been in BNI for a while, I've only started using the online slips when it came out about 2 years ago. So I've only been able to track the last 2 years of my business through the revenue received to my business. But either way it does, at least in the last 12 months, it allows me to look at this and say, hey, you know what? This is worth my membership. Now the bottom part of this is where we do all of our activity. The top 4 things here, submit. So we can submit a thank you for closed business slip, we can submit a referral slip, we can submit a one-to-one, and we can submit a CEU. Those are the way that we go in and we enter in the information. The next thing we can do is track any referrals that we've received to keep track of the status of them. And then there's also reports that go along with submitting slips. So any slip that you enter, you can then go back and look at later. And this right here is the #1 advantage to using the online slips. When you pass a piece of paper at the chapter meeting, as soon as you hand that little piece of paper over, let's say it's a one-to-one slip, and you hand that to the vice president so that they can put it into the POMS report, you no longer have that piece of paper, which means that unless you've recorded that information somewhere else, you essentially lose that data. Once you start keeping track of that in BNI Connect, not only are you getting the credit for it, so the numbers, but you're also getting the history. So I can go back right now and look at all of the people that I've had one-to-ones with for the last 2 years. I can look at the details of all the referrals and who I've passed referrals to for the last 2 years or so. Same thing with Thank You for Closed Business, and I'll show you how this really provides you some serious insight into your membership that you really never had before in BNI. So let's take a look at how this works. Now, before I do that, this is my live active membership. What I want to do is switch over to my testing system here real quick, just to be able to pass a couple of slips without it affecting my membership. So hold on, before we go too much further, Bryn says, I can't hear anything. Have we started? I'm assuming that everybody else here is able to hear everything okay? Can anybody confirm that we do have audio on this call? All right, so yes, it does appear that we do have audio on this call. Bryn, I don't know why you are unable to hear anything. You may want to disconnect and reconnect. Of course, you probably can't hear me saying that. So I'm just going to type that in. You may wish to reconnect. Others have audio. Okay. All right, and we'll get back to it. Thank you everybody for answering me there. All right, so let's take a look at how we go ahead and submit some slips. So the first things that we have here are the submit Thank You for Closed Business, submit a referral slip, submit a one-to-one, and submit a CEU. Now again, this is just like going to the meeting and we submit a slip at the meeting, or we pass that slip in to the vice president. So first thing, let's look at referrals. So if I have a referral for somebody in my chapter, I'm going to go ahead and click Submit a Referral Slip. Now this should look pretty familiar. It is the same slip that we use at the chapter meeting. So all I need to do though is drop this list down, and this will show me all of the members in my chapter. So let's say that I have a referral here for Sammy Farland. Sammy Farland, he is a locksmith. He is the locksmith in our chapter. And this referral is to the Compass School. They need some new doors and locks at my children's school. So I'm going to go ahead. This is a Tier 2 referral. I gave them your card and told them that you would call. I can put the address in. And I can put the telephone number in, email address, and any comments. They need compliant locking fire doors. Right, so I will go ahead and choose a rating here. If this is a 1 to a 5, I'm going to go to a 3. If I choose Save and New, what it's going to do is basically submit this slip and then immediately open a new one. So if you've ever had more than one referral at a time, you can just put one in and it'll immediately open up a new blank slip for you. If you just have one slip, go ahead and click Submit and it'll take you back to your home screen. And by the way, thank you everybody for the suggestions. Bryn has reconnected to the webinar and she can hear everything fine now. The beauty of this is that now once I have submitted that slip, a couple of things happen. The first of which is if I go and look at Review My Referral Slips, I should immediately see a copy of this slip in my Referrals Given report here. So I can see that I sent a referral to Sammy Farland, the date, who it was, the comments that I made, the referral temperature. It also tells me that the status is draft. So right now it is a draft. It means that I've sent it, but we haven't had our meeting. So it won't be until after our meeting that this will change to a status of completed. But I do still have all of the information here. The other great thing that happens is that Sammy Farland has received an email very similar to this email here that says, you have received a new referral. So that means that right away he can start working on that referral. This is actually a referral that I received about a week ago from somebody in my chapter. Best part about that is it has all the contact information for the referral as well as for the referral source. Now, we have a couple of questions right now. If we submit BNI Connect, do we still use paper slips? I'll get to that a little bit later. The short story is no, you don't not need to pass paper. The traditional reason for the paper was so that the vice president could go back after the meeting and count all the slips and enter them into the POMS report. That being said, there are reasons that you may want to still pass a piece of paper, and I can show you how to do that as well. And Michelle says, if I submit online, can I still pass a slip? And we can absolutely do that, and I'll show you that in just a second. All right, so that is a referral slip. The same is true for the thank you for closed business and the one-to-ones and the CEUs. So let's say that somebody passed me a referral, it finally closed into business. I can then go to submit thank you for closed business. Let's say this was a referral that came from Elizabeth Berman. She is the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. By the way, Chamber of Commerce executive directors usually make awesome members in a chapter. They know tons of people, so they're great at being able to give referrals especially. So let's say this was a referral, then it generated $2,000 for my business, and let's say that it was actually repeat business. Hopefully everybody knows the difference between a tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 referral. If you don't know the difference, tier 1 referral is an inside referral. So if this was a tier 1 referral, it would mean that Elizabeth or the Chamber of Commerce did business with me, and I'm thanking them for personally doing business with me. That's a tier 1 referral when two members do business with each other. Now, a tier 2 referral is an outside referral. It means that Elizabeth referred me to somebody else that she knows. It could be her neighbor, a colleague, a friend, her mother, anybody that she knows that would be a tier 2 referral. Now, a tier 3 referral is, let's say that Elizabeth recommended me to her mother, and her mother then recommended me to her neighbor. That would be a tier 3 referral, and I credit Elizabeth with that money generated because there's probably no way I would have ever met her mother's neighbor if it wasn't for that initial introduction. So that's the difference between tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Let's say that this was a tier 2 referral for Liz's mom got a new Mac computer delivered. So I can even put comments in. Now these comments are going to be 100% private to you and only you. Nobody else can read those comments. Submitting a thank you for closed business is an anonymous thing. So the other person, Elizabeth, will not be notified that I have submitted this. If I decide to let her know by going to the meeting and announcing it, then she will know that I submitted a slip for this. But there are no email notifications or anything else along with this. And again, that's for privacy and compliance reasons. However, once I have submitted it, I will see my thank you for closed business slips in the report right away. So I can see here that this is the Elizabeth Berman slip that I just submitted for $2,000. And we can see that it is still in draft. Now here in this report, we can see that a number of these other slips have been marked as completed, and that means that those have been submitted. So the meeting has happened and my vice president fully submitted those numbers. One-to-ones and CEUs are the same way. So one-to-one, if I had a one-to-one with somebody from my chapter, Mike Moffat, he's the painter in my chapter. Let's say that we met at Starbucks and we talked about new paint technologies. I can put the date that we met. Let's say we met yesterday, and I click submit. Now this will be recorded in both of our reports. So when you do a one-to-one with somebody, both people do get credit for that one-to-one. And of course, I do have my review my one-to-one slips here, and I can see all the people that I've had one-to-ones with. Finally, there are the CEU slips. CEUs are continuing education units. So today, you have taken a BNI webinar. Make sure that you go in right away and mark yourself in for having one CEU for this week. Or if you were on the webinar yesterday, you can put in one for yesterday and one for today. If you'd like to put them both in at once, you can put a quantity of 2 in and click submit, and there is a report for that one as well. So let me tell you why this is so very important to you as a member. Again, I am a member. I'm an active member. We had our meeting this morning. We meet on Thursdays. It's the BNI Wakefield chapter. One of the things that we're always trying to do as members is to make our memberships better. We want to obviously make more money with BNI. We want to pass more referrals as well. Let me go back over to my active membership here for a minute and show you what I mean. One of the things I can do is start to analyze my membership a little bit more. And I can see if I'm working my membership and if my membership is working for me. Now, we do a lot of business in BNI with what's called our contact spheres. If you know what a contact sphere is, you'd know that it's a group of people in like-minded professions that tend to do a lot of business naturally with each other. So I might be in either the business to business or the technology contact sphere. So people in my contact sphere, they're going to be, let's say, the web designer. So the web designer and I'm a computer guy, yeah, we're going to pass a lot of business together because we're looking at the same clients. We're working with the same clients. When we're working with those clients, we're talking about technology. Another person in my contact sphere might be the guy that does, I don't know, he sells printers and copiers. So let's take a look, and if when I'm submitting referral slips, I'm going to go to review my referral slips. And let me go all the way back. I'm going to go back to 2008. I mean, we only started in 2012, so it will only have data from 2012. But what I can do is, because I've been tracking all of the referrals that I've passed in the past couple of years, I can sort this by 2 by clicking on the word 2. And what I can look at is, who am I actively passing a lot of referrals to? And what I should see here, hopefully, is I'm passing a lot of referrals to the people in my contact sphere. And those people that I just mentioned, let's see, that my Joe Sylvia, for example, he's the printer, the guy that does printers, and here we go. I can see that I've passed Joe a number of referrals here over the years that I know has resulted in quite a bit of closed business. And let's see, Robin is the web designer in my chapter. And if I look here, there's Robin, and I've passed a bunch of referrals to Robin as well. So what this tells me is that I am able to participate very well in my contact sphere. I'm passing referrals to people. Ken Neff, he's another person that does cell phones, so I'm passing a decent amount of referrals to him. Now let's look at the other side of this. Is my contact sphere working for me? So are they passing me referrals that are turning into thank you for closed business? And I can do that by reviewing all of my thank you for closed business slips. So again, I'm going to back this out to, let's say, 2006, well before I started using slips. Once again, I can sort this by thank you to. And again, I can start to analyze this, and I can see, hey, a bunch here to Charles Westcott, a bunch here to Frank Karpowitz. And let me go look and let me see, Robin, I have one thank you to close business to Robin. So that means that, I may need to sit down with Robin and find out why we're not able to, do any referrals back and forth, why we might not be able to close those referrals if she's having trouble referring to me. But it allows me to now have some data to back up that conversation. I can also see that, I've passed Christy a bunch of thank you for closed business. And if I scroll all the way up, I mean, here's a person that Angela Moon here, she is not even in my contact sphere. She's the mortgage broker in my chapter, so we're really not generally passing a bunch of business together. But looking at this, I do know that about 5 years ago, she passed me 2 referrals that I can see here are generating somewhere between $25,000 and $35,000 a piece every year. That's $60,000 a year from 2 referrals for 5 years. That's $300,000 worth of closed business. I should probably take her to lunch and thank her for all of that closed business. Part of this is making sure that we are looking at our relationships. We want to make sure we're still kindling those relationships and taking care of them in order to make sure that, the next time she does have a referral, it will still come my way. Now you can also look at when people pass you referrals in BNI Connect, you will have a log of those as well. And you can look at your received referrals report. And again, I can go back and I can now see all of the referrals that I've received in BNI. I can see the referral, who it was referred by. So once again, I can click by referred by and maybe take a look at my contact sphere. Am I seeing people in my contact sphere? Could it be that my referral sources are passing me business that I'm not able to close, or are there other reasons for that? This also is great because I can look at the referral, and I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but you get a paper referral slip and you put it in your pocket and it ends up going through the wash and you don't have the contact information anymore. Then you're embarrassed because it's been a couple of days and you haven't called them, and you're afraid to ask your referral source for the phone number again. Now you can just look it up anytime you want to by going into BNI Connect. As long as it was passed as an online referral, you'll have this information at your fingertips. And for any of these referrals that you've received, if you want to track them, you can use the Track Your Referrals Received online, which will give you the opportunity to go in, and for any referrals that you've received, you can go in and basically edit them. So I can look at the referrals I've received, I can update them, I can fill in more information about them. I can also mark the status as pending, closed, or no sale. What's great about that is when I mark this as closed, that will mark it as closed in my referral partner's referrals given. So he can see that I have marked that referral as closed and knows that he probably should have received a thank you for closed business as well. But again, that can only happen if both people are participating in the online referral process. Now, going back, there was a couple of questions earlier. What about the paper slips? What about the meeting? As a lot of people say, what about the door prize? What are we supposed to do in order to win the door prize? If I've passed all this stuff online, then I don't have a piece of paper, and how am I going to be eligible for the door prize? There is an option here. Print your weekly slips down at the bottom. Print your weekly slips, and on Print Your Weekly Slips, this will allow you to print all of the slips for the week. You can see that the referral slip does print in a larger format. So when I go to print this out, the referral slip should be approximately the same shape and size as a regular referral slip, at least close enough that it can be chosen for the door prize, although you do have to take a pair of scissors and cut it out of that piece of paper. In addition, it lists the rest of the information for the thank you to close business and the one-to-ones and the CEUs and things like that. There's really no need to pass in a piece of paper for those activities. Really, the only paper you would need to pass in is the one for the referral slip. Now, if you don't want to use your own printer and ink and paper and all of that, or you simply just, you're rushing and you just forget to print them out, your chapter will have paper slips available for a very, very, very long time to come. Just fill out a regular referral slip. If you've already entered it online, just mark that on the slip, right? Entered online. Take a big pen and put an X through the middle of it. Something to let your vice president know, I've already submitted this. You don't want to count this twice, although it should be pretty obvious that it's already in the PALMS report, which is the other benefit to this, is that when you start doing this online through BNI Connect, it will make your vice president's life so much easier, much, much less counting that they have to do on a weekly basis because it's already entered into the statistical report for them. All right, so we are at the bottom of the hour. So what I'd like to do is to anybody that does need to leave right away, thank you guys so much for being here with me. I love sharing this time with you all. The very next webinar in our series, and an excellent referral to me, would be to please let people know about these webinars. On the support site, which you can get to by clicking on this question mark up here in the upper right-hand corner, click on the question mark. That will bring you to the support site. And our next webinar is step 3. We're going to be talking about connecting with other members. We're going to go into the social media components of BNI Connect. How do I find a massage therapist in Hong Kong? How do I find a landscape architect in Miami? All of that we're going to talk about, and how do you build relationships with people around the world. That's going to be next Wednesday, September 9th. And still at 3 o'clock Eastern, please send that registration around and ask people to please register. All right, I do see some questions. I will answer all of the questions, I promise. So please do submit your questions now. By the way, if you feel like you want to teach your chapter how to go about doing this activity, click on one of the small question marks. So let's say that you want to teach your chapter just how to do referral slips. Click this little question mark and that will take you to the help document. You're welcome to share this help document with them. This one happens to also have a short 3-minute video about how to pass a online slip and all of the different step-by-step instructions as well. So, all right, here we go. We have some questions. Carla more has a statement. She says, on the one-to-one slip, so if I go to submit a one-to-one slip, it also allows us to select who invited them. So really, who set up this one-to-one meeting, if you're tracking that information as well. So yes, thank you so much, Carla, for bringing that up. Ronnie says, what happens if you accidentally enter a slip twice? How do you remove it? So when you enter something twice, so let's say that, or even let's say I did a referral to the wrong person. From any of your review my slips reports, so let's say I'm going to review my one-to-one slips that I entered, and I accidentally put Mike Moffitt, and that's the wrong person. I didn't meet with Mike, so I need to edit this. Now you can only edit slips that are in draft mode. So if your meeting has happened and it's already been submitted, what you have to do is ask your vice president to unlock the report first. But as long as it's in draft mode, up here there's a button that says Edit, Delete Slips. And once I edit, this will bring me and it'll show me all of the slips that I can edit that haven't been submitted yet. So if I want to edit this one-to-one slip with Mike Moffitt, or simply delete it, I could delete it, or I'm going to go in and edit it. And I hadn't met with Mike Moffitt. I get confused with last names. I met with Mike Paulino. So I can resubmit that and it will make the corrections accordingly. All right, so Ronnie, hopefully that helps. Does that answer your question? Michelle says, did you say both people get credit for one-to-one meetings? Yes, both people do get credit for the one-to-one meetings. Each person does get a 1 in their PALMS report for having that meeting, and it will appear in both people's one-to-one report as well. Now, I know that there may be some people here from Canada, from Australia, from New Zealand. There are some regions around the world where this is different than what you used to report. You used to only report the person that initiated the one-to-one was the only one that got credit. In BNI Connect, we do give both people credit. The reason behind that decision that was made by headquarters, and really it was made by the International Board of Advisors, is that both people are investing their time. And even if one person is doing the talking the whole time, both people have invested that time in getting to know each other better. So both people have gotten the credit for that. So does that answer your question, Michelle? And that was the last question that I have on my screen. Does anybody at all have any additional questions? All right, if there's no additional questions. Oh, hold on. Michelle says, I am in Canada. Even though you're in Canada, Michelle, both people still do get the credit. Once you've moved over to BNI Connect, if you're recording the slips this way, it will get the credit for both people, unless your vice president or membership coordinator is overriding that information. So, and I do believe that the CATS report as well that you guys use up there has been adjusted to accommodate for that as well. That the fact that both people get credit. Ronnie says, great webinar, thank you. And you are most welcome. Thank you for being here, Ronnie. Shirley says, thank you for pointing out the advantages of Connect over the quote unquote old way. I believe this webinar is very beneficial for even seasoned members like me. Shirley, I especially appreciate you as a seasoned member, definitely taking the time to be here and taking the time to learn something new, even though you are a seasoned member. So again, thank you, and feel free to share the recording of this webinar with your team as well. Let's see. Carla says, what do you do when both people enter a one-to-one? Well, actually, both people kind of can't enter a one-to-one. I mean, theoretically, they could, but let's say that I try to submit another one-to-one slip with Mike Paulino. Doesn't matter who did the initiation, doesn't matter what the location says, doesn't matter what the topics were, but if the person or the people and the date, which was yesterday, match, it will tell me a warning that says there is already another one-to-one. It will create a duplicate entry. Do you want to do that? You know, there may be times when you had breakfast and lunch with somebody that you may want to record too, but most of the time this is enough of a warning that people won't submit that duplicate slip. So hopefully that helps explain there, Carla. Oh, good, more questions. Excellent. Let's see, Terry says, thank you. I wish I had known about this when I first joined. Hey, no better time to start than right now. So I appreciate you even getting started now. What I definitely, for any of you that are seasoned members, whether you've been here for 2 months or for 2 years or for 20 years, do not go and enter old data. You don't want to do any kind of catch-ups. You can't really enter past referrals and past thank you for closed business this way because it will affect your POMS report. So you do just have to kind of start from today and move forward from here. So, but thank you either way, Terry. Thomas says, thank you for your time to share how to use these great tools, and it is my pleasure. This is what I love to do. Let's see, Jean says, if I submit a thank you for closed business slip and record the amount in the thank you for closed business on the referral slip, will it be counted twice? No, because they're 2 different slips. So the only thing, the thank you for, all right, let me back up a step. I'm talking too fast. The thank you for closed business slip, so submitting this thank you for closed business slip is the only thing that will record thank you for closed business in the POMS report. If you go in and edit your referral slip by tracking your referrals received online, that is just for your own personal record keeping. It's not attached to the POMS report. So one thing you'll see is if I go in to track my referrals received online, actually, I need to do it from my live account since nobody's passing me referrals in the test account. What you'll see at the top of the screen So let's say I go into this Earth Care Farm one here. Nothing on this screen here, even if I delete it, nothing impacts the POMS report. So this is something that, if you wanted to either keep a separate number on or something like that, that would be okay to track it separately on this one if you wanted to. So for example, some real estate agents might like to record the total number of the property that they've sold. I've sold $10 million in homes, but in the POMS report, we're only supposed to be putting in the value and commission for that. Does that make sense, Gene? All right, Bryn, who is a he, by the way, not a she. I apologize for that. Where do we find the recordings? So the recordings you can find in a couple of places. The easiest way to find the recordings is from any screen in BNI Connect. Click this question mark. So there's a question mark here in the upper right-hand corner. That will take you to the support screen. Support screen has, the first thing you'll see is all of the upcoming webinars, and right here you'll see recorded webinar series. I will have the August ones, or I'm sorry, these September ones up very soon, I promise. I'm hoping to do today's and yesterday's either tomorrow or right after I get off the webinar today. But I could click on any of those. And these are all the July webinars, for example. And you can review any of those. So they're pretty much the same month by month, although I have varied things slightly this month to inject some new content into it. So a couple of days I should have those up. You can also go directly to the YouTube channel. That's BNI Connect Global on YouTube. So youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. And we have a ton of material up there. Of course, all of the recorded webinars, but there's also things like educational moments, short 3 to 5 minute videos on specific topics that you're welcome to share with your chapters as well. So please feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll get notified when I upload new videos up there as well. And while we're out there online, I would absolutely love it if you went to facebook.com/BNI Connect Global. And please give us a like. I would love it if you give us a like. I am really, really trying to hit 10,000 likes, and we are so close. I'm only 33 likes away from 10,000. So please, I would love it if you gave us a like up there on Facebook. And Bryn, if you're still on the call and you have another second, let me show you the best part about the online slips from a VP standpoint. Now, my chapter, the Wakefield chapter here in Rhode Island, we went paperless last October. So we've been paperless for almost a year now. We do all of our slips online as a chapter. If it didn't happen in BNI Connect, it didn't happen. So from a vice president standpoint, here's how a vice president enters a POMS report. They go to operations, and then they go to meeting management, and then they go to enter POMS. Now, let me go to, I need to switch over to Rhode Island. I was in a different area. And let me switch over to my personal chapter. So I'm going to go and click on enter POMS. And as I said, our meeting was this morning. When my vice president goes to enter the POMS report from today, all my vice president is going to have to do is mark attendance. You can see all of the rest of the information has already been submitted into this POMS report. So all of the CEUs, all of the thank you for closed business, all of the referrals, all of the visitors, all entered already. All I have to do is take attendance. If I want to look at all of the POMS reports, of all of the slips, I can look at the slips audit report, and I can see all of the things that happen. So if Dennis turns in, or I should say Elizabeth turns in another slip for Tom Rowland, because you're still doing some paper in the chapter, I can see that this one was already passed as a referral here. So all of that information, and before I told you, thank you for closed business, is anonymous. So we can see that Angela Moon was thanked for $900, but we can't see who thanked Angela Moon. That is an anonymous entry still. All right, so again, take attendance, click submit, as opposed to spending about 45 minutes counting up slips. That's about how long it used to take. All right, so hopefully that helps. Bryn, I highly suggest that you get your chapter on board with those online slips, because it'll really help your job in this upcoming year. All right, are there any other questions? Carla also does mention that with these track your referrals received online, you can add your own referrals that you want to track by just entering them in. Again, it does not impact the Palms report, but let's say that you do have a referral partner that has given you a referral on paper. They did not enter it online, but you still want to be able to track that in BNI Connect. You are more than welcome to do so by entering it into the referral tracking report. So excellent point, and thank you for both that and the one-to-one reminder there, Carla. Appreciate it. All right, any other questions? I love questions. All right, so if there's no more questions, I'm going to thank you guys once again for being here, and especially all of you that hung out till the very, very end here with all the questions. I look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Happy connecting, everyone.